I spent 50 years learning. This, you'll understand it in 10 minutes. You know what's funny? I've watched people spend their entire lives chasing things that don't matter, only to realize at the end that the answers were right in front of them all along. Today, I'm going to save you decades of mistakes and show you what truly matters. Let me start by telling you something that might surprise you. When I was 25 years old, I thought I had life figured out. I had a plan, ambitions, dreams of wealth and success. I was going to climb that corporate ladder, buy the big house, drive the fancy car, and prove to everyone that I had made it. And you know what? I did all of those things. By the time I hit 40, I had everything I thought I wanted. The corner office with the view, the vacation home, the respect of my peers. But here's the thing nobody tells you when you're young and hungry and full of fire. None of it mattered the way I thought it would. I remember sitting in that corner office one Tuesday afternoon, looking out at the city below and feeling absolutely nothing. Empty. Hollow. Like I had spent 20 years running a race, only to discover there was no finish line, no prize, just more running. That's when I started to wake up. That's when I began to understand what these 50 years have really taught me. The first thing you need to understand is that time is the only currency that actually matters. Not money, not status, not the approval of others. Time. And the cruel joke is that we don't realize this until we've already spent most of it. When you're young, time feels infinite. You waste entire days scrolling through your phone, entire years in jobs you hate, entire decades in relationships that drain you. You tell yourself you'll start living tomorrow, next month, next year. But tomorrow keeps coming and you keep postponing, and then one day you wake up and you're 50, 60, 70, and you realize that all those tomorrows you were counting on have turned into yesterdays you can't get back. I spent 15 years in a career that paid well, but crushed my soul. 15 years. Do you know what I could have done with 15 years? I could have learned 3 languages. I could have traveled to 50 countries. I could have written 10 books. I could have built deeper relationships with my children instead of missing their childhoods because I was too busy chasing promotions. But I didn't do any of those things because I was operating under a false assumption. I thought that once I made enough money, once I achieved enough success, then I would have the freedom to do what I really wanted. The truth is, I was trading my life for money, and life is a terrible thing to trade. Here's something else that took me decades to learn. The opinions of other people are worthless. Completely worthless. I don't mean this in a harsh way. I mean that other people's opinions about your life, your choices, your path, they're based on their fears, their limitations, their experiences, not yours. I spent my 20s and 30s desperately trying to impress people whose names I can't even remember now. I bought things I didn't need with money. I didn't have to impress people I didn't even like. I chose career paths based on what would look good to others rather than what would fulfill me. I made decisions about where to live, who to marry, how to spend my time, all filtered through this question of what other people would think. And you want to know the funny part? Those people weren't thinking about me at all. They were too busy worrying about what I thought of them. We're all walking around in this ridiculous dance, trying to impress each other, trying to meet expectations that don't even exist. Your parents want you to be successful, but their definition of success came from their parents, who got it from their parents, in an endless chain of inherited expectations that nobody ever stopped to question. Your friends judge your choices, but only because they're insecure about their own. Your neighbors care about your lawn and your car, but only for about 5 seconds before they go back to worrying about their own lives. The day I stopped caring about other people's opinions was the day I started actually living. And I don't mean I became reckless or selfish. I mean I started making decisions based on what felt right to me, what aligned with my values, what would make me proud of myself when I looked in the mirror. That's a completely different calculus than trying to predict and manage what others might think. Let me tell you about relationships because this is where I made some of my biggest mistakes and learned some of my most valuable lessons. Quality matters infinitely more than quantity. I used to have a phone full of contacts, a calendar full of social obligations, a network that would make a politician jealous. But I was lonely. Deeply, profoundly lonely. Because none of those connections were real. They were transactional. Networking events and business dinners and superficial conversations where everyone was performing, putting on a show, trying to get something from each other. It wasn't until my late 40s that I started to understand what real friendship looks like. Real friendship is being able to sit in silence with someone and feel completely comfortable. It's having people in your life who know the worst things about you and love you anyway. It's relationships where you don't have to perform or pretend or keep score. I have maybe 5 people like that in my life now, and they're worth more than the 500 acquaintances I used to collect like baseball cards. And romantic relationships? Here's what nobody tells you. The butterflies and the passion and the intense chemistry, that stuff fades. It always fades. And what you're left with is either a deep friendship and partnership or nothing at all. I've been married twice. The first time I married for all the wrong reasons. She was beautiful, successful, impressive on paper. We looked great together at parties. But we didn't actually like each other very much. We didn't laugh together. We didn't share values. We were 2 people who happened to live in the same house. My second marriage is different. We're not perfect. We annoy each other sometimes. But we're friends. Real friends. We can spend a quiet Sunday morning drinking coffee and reading the paper, and it feels like everything I need. That's what lasts. Not the grand gestures or the expensive gifts or the passionate arguments. Just simple, steady, genuine friendship. Now, let me talk about failure, because this might be the most important thing I've learned in 50 years. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is information. Every time something didn't work out the way I planned, every time I fell on my face, every time I was rejected or disappointed or humiliated, I learned something. The problem is that we're taught to fear failure from the time we're children. We're graded on getting things right, punished for getting things wrong, taught to play it safe and color inside the lines. But safe is the riskiest thing you can be. Safe means never trying anything that might not work. Safe means staying in situations that make you miserable because at least they're familiar. Safe means getting to the end of your life with a long list of things you wish you had tried but didn't because you were afraid of failing. I failed at so many things. I started a business that went bankrupt. I invested in opportunities that turned out to be disasters. I pursued dreams that led nowhere. I made terrible decisions that cost me time, money, relationships, opportunities. And every single one of those failures taught me something that success never could have. Success teaches you to repeat what worked. Failure teaches you to think differently, to adapt, to grow. The biggest regrets in my life aren't the things I tried and failed at. They're the things I never tried at all because I was too afraid. That book I never wrote, that trip I never took, that conversation I never had. Those are the ghosts that haunt me now. Here's another truth that took me too long to learn. Your health is everything. When you're young, your body feels invincible. You can eat garbage, skip sleep, ignore exercise, and bounce back. But that doesn't last. And by the time you realize you need to take care of yourself, you've often done damage that's hard to undo. I spent 30 years treating my body like a machine that I could run into the ground and just fix later. I ate poorly, drank too much, sat at a desk for 12 hours a day, and told myself I'd get healthy when I had more time. But here's the thing. You don't suddenly get more time. You have to make time. And if you don't prioritize your health, eventually, your health will demand your attention anyway, except it won't be on your terms. It'll be a heart attack or diabetes or cancer or any of the other ways your body tells you that you can't ignore it forever. I'm lucky. I caught myself before it was too late, but I know too many people who didn't. Let me tell you about money, since that's what so many people spend their lives chasing. Money is important. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. Money provides security, options, freedom. But there's a point of diminishing returns that most people never recognize. Once you have enough money to meet your basic needs and have a little cushion for emergencies, more money doesn't make you proportionally happier. The difference between having nothing and having enough is enormous. The difference between having enough and having everything is negligible. I know wealthy people who are miserable. I know people of modest means who are deeply content. The difference isn't in their bank accounts. It's in how they think about life, what they value, how they spend their time. I spent years chasing higher salaries, bigger bonuses, more zeros in my retirement account. And yes, financial security is nice, but the happiest periods of my life weren't the ones where I made the most money. They were the ones where I felt most connected, most purposeful, most alive. If I could go back and talk to my 25-year-old self, here's what I would say. Stop trying to impress people. Stop postponing joy. Stop waiting for permission to live the life you actually want. Invest in experiences, not things. Invest in relationships, not status. Invest in health, not wealth. Take more risks. Fail more often. Say yes to adventures. Say no to obligations that drain you. Tell people you love them. Forgive quickly. Learn constantly. Stay curious. And most importantly, remember that life is short. Shorter than you think. Shorter than you can possibly imagine when you're young, and it feels like you have forever. Every day that passes is a day you don't get back. Every moment you waste is a moment lost forever. So stop waiting, stop preparing, stop getting ready to start living, and just start. The life you want isn't going to fall into your lap. You have to build it, deliberately and consciously, one choice at a time. And yes, you'll make mistakes. You'll choose wrong sometimes. But that's okay. That's part of the process. The only real mistake is letting fear keep you from trying. These 50 years have taught me that life is simpler than we make it. Love people. Do work that matters. Take care of your health. Spend time in nature. Create something. Help someone. Laugh often. Forgive yourself. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Embrace what does. That's it. That's everything I've learned. And if you can understand this now, in 10 minutes rather than 50 years, then you're already ahead of where I was. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it change you, or will you file it away and forget it, continuing on the same path until you learn these lessons the hard way? The choice is yours. It always has been.